started, I was about 20 something, and I was a volunteer literacy tutor, which I started because one of the people in the flat I used to live with, the guy that lived upstairs, was illiterate, and it had quite an impact on me. So I got into doing voluntary literacy teaching when that just sort of first started. And in fact, later on, I did that as a career, but there was something in between, really. And then I've sort of kept doing various voluntary things since then, but less when I was working full time, except being involved in voluntary management committees and things, to do with playgroups for my kids and so on, that sort of thing. As a games maker in the Olympic Games, which was quite a big thing, really. I was actually still working at that time, so it was sort of like my holidays, so that was quite an event, really, because it was very time consuming, about 10 hours a day. I started at Durning Hall. It was just, I was looking for some voluntary work, and it just came up. It was advertised. Really, that I thought this would be quite good, and I'll get to know the area a little bit, which I didn't really know terribly well. Just something to give me some, something to do, sort of like once a week, some structure. It's a bit strange when you retire, having been working hard all your life, to have empty days. So it's quite good to do something, and something which is hopefully helpful. But as much for me as for giving something to somebody else, I suppose. Aston-Mansfield itself is a good place to volunteer, because they do show a lot of appreciation for their volunteers. I think more so than a lot of places where I've done things. You get involved with them, and they have events with them, and they give you some Christmas little presents and things like that. And I think it's quite noticeable. My first job, I was a research psychologist, and then I gave that up when I had my kids because it didn't really fit with them. And I worked for firstly adult education, teaching mostly basic education, but it sort of went up to sort of like GCSE maths, and then it sort of turned into further education. But I still mostly taught adults, and mostly English and maths, basically. So that's what I did for, that's the job that I did for most of my life. Well, the just basically volunteer teaching that I did, the games maker thing, which was voluntary work. When I got involved with was it Abbey Road, the sort of community garden at Abbey Road, there's one that's near here that I sort of got involved with when I first moved to this area as something, because I moved to somewhere that didn't have a garden, and they wanted help with their area, that they were growing stuff in. So I did that for quite a while. To some extent, yes. I mean, it's certainly it's a wider community than I would normally meet in my everyday life. As a teacher in education, I met a lot of different people and communicated a lot. Had a lot to do with them, but my life's a bit more restricted now. I'm retired, so it gives me a bit more scope to get involved with a wider range of people and different cultures and so on. Structure to my life, the fact that I feel appreciated where I work, sort of get feedback saying, oh, you've been really helpful, etc., etc. It's a boost. The volunteering I did my first job, yes, because that made me think about working in that field, which was like voluntary literacy work. So yes, that probably not so much in Aston-Mansfield. I mean, maybe dealing with the general public on that sort of basis, which I didn't really do. I worked with a lot of different people, but not just people that came in off the street and you had to deal with. So I suppose there's that a bit. There's always something, I suppose. I mean, I'd never dealt with petty cash before. I mean, there are things that I haven't dealt with. I'm not sure that they're not really big things that I've learned, but there are things that I haven't done before. answer the phone a bit, let people in to the business centre. I do petty cash, help with the petty cash and put it up on the spreadsheet and stuff like that, and then help copy all the petty cash and chits and things like that, which I'll be doing this afternoon. Help with the booking diary, help write emails and things. Give out keys. I mean, sort of quite a range of things. When the charity shop money comes in, then I sort of have to count that and record it and things like that. I did quite enjoy the Timber Lodge thing that was done in the summer. I thought that was quite fun and good to meet other staff and other volunteers, and the activities were quite well chosen. I thought it's nice to have things which, I mean, Christmas parties are quite nice as well, so things like that are quite nice to have something, because that's again is something which you do sort of certain things like that when you're working, which when you're retired you don't get involved in. So it's quite nice to have those sorts of aspects that that you're used to through a long period of work, which you sort of miss a bit when you're retired. So that's good. Well, I think do it. I think you would only do it if there was a reason for it. So I think with some people it can be good, because it can be good to help them with work, to get work and so on. I mean, that wasn't particularly that's never really been my reason for doing it. But with a lot of people that's the case, and I think just go for it, because there's so many different opportunities with volunteering that you're bound to be able to find something which is good for you, that you're interested in and suits your abilities. It's flexible too, that's what's quite good about it. You can do all these things and get involved, but if something occurs that's really important that you've got to spend some time doing something else, you can generally move things around and so on. So flexibility is good about volunteering. I have volunteered for a long time, so it's always it's been something that I've got quite a lot out of when I've done it for different reasons. It's given me as much as I've put into it.